My poor cousin rents. My rich cousin bought a $400,000 house. 15 years later, the renter has $680,000. Thanksgiving 2010. My whole family is gathered around the table. My cousin Mark just bought his first house. $400,000. Nice suburb outside Phoenix. Everyone's congratulating him. Clapping. So proud. You're building equity. Smart investment. You're set for life. Then there's my cousin David. Just signed a lease on an apartment. $1,800 a month. Renting. The room goes quiet when he mentions it. You can feel the judgment. My aunt actually says, "Oh, honey, you couldn't afford to buy? That's okay. You'll get there someday." David just smiles. Doesn't say anything. Fast forward 15 years. 2025. Right now. Mark still owes $240,000 on that house. Working overtime to make payments. Stressed. Can barely save anything. David? He's got $680,000. Cash. Invested. Liquid. Ready to retire early if he wants. Wait. What? The poor cousin who rents is $320,000 richer than the smart cousin who bought? Yeah. And I watched it happen. Year by year. Choice by choice. What I'm about to show you will completely flip everything you think you know about renting versus buying. Because the advice everyone gives, it's destroying people financially. My name is Mike. I've watched both cousins' lives for 15 years. And I'm going to break down exactly how the renter got rich while the homeowner stayed broke. But first, smash that like button if you've ever been told rent is throwing money away. Because that advice cost my cousin Mark $320,000. And hit subscribe because I'm exposing money myths that cost Americans hundreds of thousands of dollars. Real stories, real numbers, real outcomes. Let me take you back. November 2010. Mark and David are both 30 years old. Both just got married. Both making about $8,000 to $5,000 a year. Identical situations. Mark's excited. Just closed on his house. 4 bedrooms. 2-car garage. The American dream. $400,000. He put down $40,000. That's 10%. Took out a $360,000 mortgage at 5.5% interest. His monthly payment, $2,800. That includes mortgage, property taxes, homeowner's insurance. David signs a lease that same month. 2-bedroom apartment. Nice place. $1,800 a month. Mark looks at David at Thanksgiving dinner and says, "I remember this exactly." He says, "Dude, you're throwing away $1,800 every month on rent." I'm building equity. In 15 years, I'll own this place and you will have nothing to show for all that rent money. David doesn't argue. Just says 4 words. We'll see about that. Everyone thinks Mark's right. Obviously, buying is smart. Renting is for people who can't afford to buy. But here's what nobody knew. David had a plan. Mark pays $2,800 monthly. David pays $1,800. That's a $1,000 difference. Most people would spend that extra $1,000 on lifestyle. Go out more. Buy stuff. Lifestyle creep. David doesn't. He takes that $1,000 every single month and invests it. S&P 500 index fund. Automatic transfer. Never touches it. Year 1. Mark's house is great. He's proud. He's a homeowner. But his dishwasher breaks. $800. Needs a new fence. $4,000. Water heater dies. $1,200. Landscaping to keep up with the neighbors. $3,000. First year maintenance. $6,000. David's dishwasher breaks. Calls the landlord. Fix for free. AC needs repair. Landlord handles it. Roof leaks. Not his problem. Maintenance cost for David. 0. Meanwhile, David's investing $1,000 monthly. After 1 year, he has $12,000 invested. With market returns, it's worth about $13,000. Mark has his house. He's made his payments. But when you do the math, he's actually down money. Spent $6,000 on maintenance. His equity barely went up because most of his payment went to interest, not principal. Comment right now if you're starting to see where this is going. Because most people have no idea how much homeownership actually costs. Year 3. Mark's house is worth about $420,000. Nice appreciation. He owes $340,000. That's $80,000 in equity. Sounds good until you calculate what is spent. $33,600 in mortgage payments, plus $12,000 in maintenance over 3 years. $4,000 to $5,600 total spent. $480,000 in equity. David has paid $54,000 in rent over 3 years. Thrown it away, everyone says. But his investment account? $4,000 to $7,000. He invested $36,000, and the market grew it to $4,000 to $7,000. If you subtract what they both spent from what they have, they're actually pretty close. But David's money is liquid. Mark's is locked in a house. Yay! This is where it gets crazy. Mark gets an amazing job offer in Denver. 30% raise. Dream opportunity. But he owns a house in Phoenix. He lists it. Market's okay. Not great. It sells for $425,000. After realtor fees, closing costs, and paying off his mortgage, he walks away with $95,000. Let me say that again. He bought for $400,000, sold for $425,000. After 8 years and all costs, he nets $95,000. That sounds okay until you remember he spent $35,000 on maintenance over 8 years. So his real profit? $60,000. Over 8 years. David hears about the Denver opportunity. You know what he does? Gives his landlord 30 days notice. Packs up. Moves to Denver. 0 complications. 0 closing costs. 0 realtor fees. 0 stress. His investment account? $142,000. He's been investing that $1,000 difference every single month for 8 years, plus compound growth. Mark and David both moved to Denver. Mark buys another house. $480,000 this time. Here we go again. David rents an apartment. $2,200 a month now. Denver's more expensive. Still investing the difference. Hit that like button if this is blowing your mind, because it gets even more dramatic. Year 12. 2022, Mark's Denver house is worth about $580,000. He has about $190,000 in equity after paying down the mortgage, but has also spent $28,000 on maintenance over 4 years in Denver. Another roof issue, vac replacement, deck repairs. His monthly payment is $300 to $400 now. Higher property taxes in Denver. David still renting. $2,400 monthly now. Still investing the difference. His investment account is worth $385,000. Wait, David's investment account is worth almost double Mark's home equity. And David has complete flexibility. Mark is locked into Denver unless he wants to sell and go through the whole process again. Year 15. Present day. Right now, 2025. Mark owns a house in Denver worth $600,000. He still owes $240,000 on the mortgage. His equity, $360,000. Over 15 years, he spent approximately $75,000 on maintenance, repairs, and improvements across 2 houses. Net position, $360,000 equity minus $75,000 spent equals $285,000. David has rented for 15 years. His rent went from $1,800 to $2,400. He has paid approximately $370,000 in total rent over 15 years. Everyone says he threw it away. But here's what he has. His investment account is worth $680,000. Let me say that clearly. The renter has $680,000. The homeowner has $285,000. David is $395,000 richer. Almost $400,000 ahead. Drop a comment right now. Are you team rent or team buy? Because this is about to change your answer. Here's how this happened. The math is actually simple. Mark paid $2,800 to $3,400 monthly for housing over 15 years. Average $3,100. That's $558,000 total spent on housing, plus $75,000 in maintenance. Total, $633,000 invested in real estate. Current value after subtracting what he owes, $285,000. David paid $1,800 to $2,400 monthly for rent. Average $2,100. That's $378,000 total spent on rent. But here's what everyone misses. David invested the difference, $1,000 to $1,400 every single month. For 15 years, that's $201,600 invested. At 9% average market return over 15 years, it became $680,000. Mark spent $255,000 more than David on housing. and ended up $395,000 poorer. The difference? David invested what Mark spent on bigger mortgage payments, property taxes, interest, and maintenance. Now here's the part nobody talks about. And this is critical. When Mark wanted to move to Denver, it took 6 months. Listing the house, showing it, negotiating, inspections, closing, stress, lost sleep, uncertainty. David, 30 days. Done. Move to Denver. Start the new job immediately. Mark's equity is locked in his house. He can't access it without selling or taking a loan. David's money is completely liquid. He can access it anytime. Mark needs $50,000 for an emergency. He has to get a home equity loan. Applications. Approval process. Interest payments. David needs $50,000. Sell some index funds. Money in his account in 3 days. See the difference? Last Thanksgiving, 2024, the family finally sees the truth. Mark mentions he's stressed about his mortgage. Payments are tight. Can't save much. David casually mentions he's thinking about retiring early. Has enough invested. The room goes silent. My aunt, the same one who felt sorry for David 15 years ago, says, "Wait, how much do you have saved?" David smiles. About $680,000. Jaws drop. The same people who thought David was poor for renting are now asking him for financial advice. Mark pulls me aside later. Says something I'll never forget. I thought I was doing the smart thing. Everyone said buy a house. Build equity. But David has way more equity than me. And it's liquid. And he doesn't have a mortgage payment. I was wrong. Here's a lesson. And this is important. Owning a home is not automatically smarter than renting. Let me say that again. Owning is not automatically better. Rent is not throwing money away if you invest the difference. Mark paid $633,000 into real estate over 15 years. Has $285,000 to show for it. David paid $378,000 in rent. Has $680,000 to show for it. Why? Because David invested the money Mark spent on maintenance, bigger payments, property taxes, and mortgage interest. Mark paid $240,000 in interest alone over 15 years. That's money to the bank. Never getting it back. Thrown away just like rent. Smash that like button if this is completely changing how you see renting versus buying. Now, I'm not saying never buy a house. That's not the point. If you want to buy for lifestyle reasons, you want a yard, you want to customize, you want stability, buy. Those are valid reasons. But don't buy because you think it's automatically the smart financial move. David proved it's not. Here's what's crazy. David's doing something interesting now. His 4 to 5 has $680,000 invested. You know what he just did? He bought a house. Paying cash. No mortgage. $400,000. Keeping $280,000 invested. The irony is beautiful. The poor renter is buying a house with cash while the smart homeowner still owes $240,000. David won twice. First by renting and investing. Now by buying without debt. Mark will be paying his mortgage until he's 73 if he keeps making minimum payments. David owns his house free and clear at 4 to 5. Subscribe right now if you want more videos breaking down money myths with real numbers. So here's my question for you. If you're currently renting and feeling bad about it, stop. You're not behind. You might actually be ahead if you invest the difference. If you're currently buying, don't panic. Just be honest about the real costs. Mortgage plus property tax plus insurance plus maintenance. Compare that to renting. If buying is way more expensive, make sure you're investing the difference somewhere. Comment one last time. After watching this, would you rather have Mark's $600,000 house with a $240,000 mortgage or David's $680,000 in cash? Be honest. Bottom line, my poor cousin rented for 15 years and invested the difference. He's now worth $680,000. My rich cousin bought a $400,000 house and still owes $240,000. Same starting income. Different choices. $395,000 gap. The advice everyone gives. Rent is throwing money away. Cost Mark $395,000. David ignored that advice and got rich. The American dream says you have to own a home to build wealth. David proved you can rent and build way more wealth. If you invest the difference. Who really won?